Stray, an indie game where you play as a cat. This game has achievements, the rarest of which is to beat the game in under 2 hours. This is the story of how I did that. Chapter 1, Inside the Wall. In the first section of this game, you start by interacting with some other cats before sleeping through the night. You then run along a bunch of pipes with the other cats until you reach this pipe. It's rather unstable, and after attempting to cross, you tragically fall to your death. Then, after dying, you wake up in a sewer with broken legs, no friends, and not much to live for. Guys? Like me every day apart from the broken legs. Then, after collapsing again, you walk through a door and enter. Chapter 2, The Dead City. We begin this section by running down an abandoned looking street and seeing some of the locals chilling. After I very professionally jumped across some barrels and walked through a conveniently sized hole in the fence, I entered the next room. And, as I had previously done this section, I made sure to collect the bucket which resides on the floor before continuing up the pipes. Once atop the pipes, I used the bucket to break the fan, like an a-hole, but the game's the game. There I was faced with a line of paint cans, and like any cat would, I knocked them off. I then jumped up a few more boxes and pushed another paint can off to break some glass. I don't know if it's illegal to break into someone's house as a cat, but if it is, I'm going to prison, because that's basically what I just did. I then left in a bucket, and continued to follow some strange arrows that led me, well, first to this dying robot, and, more importantly, the next chapter. I also had to run away from about 1,000 creatures called Zerks, which are one of the main enemies in this game. Chapter 3, The Flat. This chapter starts with us standing on a keyboard which opens a door. It makes sense if you play the game. I then proceed to collect 4 power brick things, and plug them into the 4 sockets on the wall. This opens another door. In this room, I quickly traverse the corpse of a fallen robot and a strange looking capsule thing. You then knock off a box containing one of the most annoying and helpful characters in this game, B12. B12 is your robot companion in a strange and beautiful world. He also talks way too much and requires battery, which requires you to wear this charger pack thing on your back. B12 also gives you a key. We then use said key to open a door leading to a hallway. The next door, however, requires a code, which I try to remember off the top of my head, but my memory is not that great apparently. I know where to find the code, and after entering it, I hopped in a bucket. At the end of the bucket ride, you encounter the first of 5 main memories that are found throughout the game, because B12 has forgotten everything of the outside world and who he is. However, these memories help him remember this. There is a number of others that you can collect. They're optional. I believe there's about 27 of them, although I've never collected all of them. But anyways, moving on. After that, you enter Chapter 4, The Slums. You then enter the first city type area, which is called the Slums, although everyone is terrified of you at first because you're an anomaly, or something of the sort. After talking to the town protector and lifting the impending lockdown, you meet a character called Momo. Also, I made one of the robots drop some paint on the ground, and while you maybe think I'm a bad person, I'm actually saving time by preparing for something that I need later. Momo is one of 4 robots that collectively make up a group called the Outsiders, although his communication device is broken and all the other members left to find a way out. I should probably mention that in this world, there has been some sort of apocalypse that involves the Zerks, and so humankind moved underground to try and survive. The first part of the game is based on the world's surface, but when the cat falls in the hole, you fall down to the underground world. These 4 robots are trying to escape to the surface world, hence the name Outsiders. Anyways, he has given up trying to escape and gives you his notebook. You then break into 3 other houses and collect the notebooks of the other members. This normally takes some time, but I know where all the notebooks are, so it's easy and also much quicker. You may also notice currently our time is in the plus, but keep watching and you'll notice it leaves the plus pretty soon. We then return to Momo with all the notebooks, one of which contains the instructions to fix the communication device, also known as the transceiver. He then gives you the transceiver and sends you on a mission to plug it into an antenna, ending the chapter. Chapter 5, The Rooftops. I get swarmed multiple times. I died once. But I also break the ankles of hundreds of Zerks, running across beams using doors, and parkour skills the likes of which have never been seen before. I even crushed them under a barrel. And after all that, the slowest elevator ride of your life. We insert the transceiver and power the antenna. And B12 remembers some stuff again. We then hop into a bucket and sail into the distance. Ending the chapter. Chapter 6, The Slums, Part 2. We then meet Momo at the bar and attempt to contact Zaboltsa. Can't lie, I have no idea how to pronounce that name. But you contact them and they tell you you need to travel through the sewers, the most dangerous place in the slums. Then a kid in the bar turns around and crushes your dreams by telling you his father Doc, one of the Outsiders, tried and failed to go through the sewers. And if he couldn't make it, We don't stand a chance. He then runs home and locks his door, but we follow him back and break into his house. We hand him his father's notebook, and he proceeds to read that there is a secret room in his house. I already know how to open this door, so I speedily find the keypad and enter the code. I actually remember the number for this one. We then find a tracker, which is unfortunately broken. However, Momo tells you there is a hacker dude who can fix it for you. But before we talk to him, we need to go on a little shopping trip. Why? Well, because we need 3 things. 1, love. 2, wire. And 3, a poncho. And for some super cleaning product. Remember that paint I knocked off earlier? Well, it's a perfect distraction to allow me to steal the super spirit detergent, which I can trade at the local store for wire, which grandma can make into a poncho in about 2 seconds. Now you're probably wondering why the hell I needed a poncho to talk to a hacker. Well, let me explain. He's cold, and he can't help us until he is warm, so I make him the poncho. Then he fixes my tracker. After he fixes the tracker, I head back to the sun. He then reverses the tracker to track his father, and then proceeds to walk extremely slow, following the tracker to a secured looking door. He proceeds to open the door and follows you through. But then he realizes he probably shouldn't continue because he is far too slow and large to make it through. He only opens the door for me, and then I enter into Chapter 7, Dead End. A trench of death is how I would attempt to describe the start of this section. I run as fast as I could. I got very lucky here because somehow I was able to beat the Zerks up top. Normally they run down and I have to run around, but I was able to run straight through. I barely made it to the shopping cart, but once on there I was able to annihilate these fools. After flying 3 stories into the sky, I broke my ankle. But fortunately this cat has magical saliva, and after a quick lick I was back on my feet. After some quick parkour, I then continued across a broken bridge and into the house of Doc, the man we are looking for. I enter through the upstairs window. Heading downstairs, I find him sleeping in his chair. So logically, I scare him. He then talks about how he's trapped here and how his UV gun is flat. I then go and hit the UV gun, and he then gives me a fuse, which I take across the bridge. Once plugged in, a horde of Zerks appear. Fortunately, his UV gun is charged, so he starts beaming fools, and I quickly make my way back into his house. He then tells me that he can put the UV light into B12 after a short cutscene. You then leave out the back door, where you find a number of Zerks, although you now can kill them. And after doing so, you continue to a big door. Doc is unable to open said door, so it's up to you to get inside. After moving some conveniently placed barrels, you jump inside, where you find more Zerks. You kill them. You then open the door, where you find Doc being attacked by more Zerks. You kill them. Then, as he closes the door, you see more Zerks. You kill them. You have now escaped. And after going through a couple of doors, you find the town defender talking to Doc's son. Doc then embraces his son, and the town defender tells you, subscribe. And also, that Momo is waiting for you in the sewers. You run to the sewers, get on a boat, and begin your descent into the sewers. Ending the chapter. Chapter 8, the sewers. We quickly approach a gate that is locked from the inside. You climb through the gate and proceed to open it. The only problem is there is a dozen or so Zerk eggs surrounding the lever. Fortunately, I just so happen to be a parkour master. I leap into the air, sailing gracefully over the eggs as I reach the lever. Pushing it down, I jump back over the eggs. I then proceed to be an absolute idiot and try going back the way I came. However, Momo brings the boat around through the gate close to where you are so you can jump on and leave. I eventually noticed that after almost dying, we continued on through the sewer until we reached yet another door. Momo then attempts to open said door, however, it's broken. So he opens it manually and says goodbye. After leaving him in our dust, you continue into a Zerk-filled hellhole, to put it lightly. Running through countless hordes of Zerks and almost dying, I opened one final door, ending up in front of some rather large eyes. I began running past many more swarms of Zerks, up some stairs, finally sliding under a large door. Temporary safety has been achieved. Then we 12 stopped the vent fan and we crawled through. I then jumped through a large wooden wall, ending the chapter. Chapter 9, Ant Village. Finally time to meet Zaboltza. Although first things first, B12 has to remember something, although this memory is somewhat interesting. He remembers that he was once a human, and I assume the capsule thing in his apartment contains his body. I also assume that he used it to transfer his psyche into B12. But anyways, after that, we take a short climb up this interesting little base located in some swampy area. And atop this tower, we meet Zaboltza. Zaboltza tells you that you need to find the 4th member of the Outsiders, Clementine. Also, I think Zaboltza looks kind of like Lucy from Detroit Become Human. After talking to Zaboltza, you proceed to leave the Ant Village, climbing up into the roof. You end up in the subway, and here B12 has the second to last memory, because he used to take the subway every morning. After that, you run up some stairs, entering Chapter 10, Midtown. This place is easily the biggest area in the game. It's like the Metro Kingdom of this game, although it looks more like Night City than New York. Anyways, the first thing to do is find Clementine. Zaboltza gave you a photo of her address in the back, although I already know where she lives. Just before entering her house, I broke 3 security cameras, not because I'm trying to be annoying, but because I needed to. Once entering Clementine's apartment, she attempts to attack you, quickly realizing that she would instantly lose. that you are no threat to her. She then explains we need a battery to power the train, which is being stored inside of Negacorp's factory. She gives you instructions to find a guy in a jacket with a chain, although first we need to go shopping and wake up this drunk guy. This is why I broke the cameras, because the guy in the jacket will ask us to collect a uniform as a disguise. So you need to collect a hat and a neon vest so he can enter undetected. To get the hat, you need to wake up the drunk guy and then jump in a box outside the hat shop. He will then pick up the box and take you inside, allowing you to steal the hat. The vest is a little bit harder. Essentially, those guys in the courtyard of the apartment building wanted to play music but weren't allowed to because of the police, and the police used the cameras to watch them. They ask you to break the cameras in return for one of their mixtapes. Why do you need a tape, I hear you ask? Well, the shirt shop guy is annoying and won't let you steal his clothes. So to distract him, you play the tape in the radio in the back of the store, then take the shirt and head to the guy in the jacket. He will then get changed and ask you to get into a box. Once inside the factory, I jump out of the boxes to all the way to the battery room. After easily stealing the battery, we subtly escaped out the back door, no problem. When the Clementine is gone, she leaves clues around her apartment which together give you the message, I'm with Blazer, come to the nightclub. Blazer being the guy in the jacket. After breaking into the nightclub and stealing a drink, I made my way across the ceiling lights to find Blazer, but I was too late. I found Clementine tied to a chair. Turns out that scumbag Blazer sold us out. The officials captured us, and the chapter ends. Chapter 11, The Jail. You start in a cage which you quickly escape, after which you walk through the prison to find Clementine. She points to the keys to her cell which you easily collect, after which I let her out and followed her around to another door which she unlocks as well. Then on top of a stairwell, Clementine tries to open another door, while you look out and see B12. She helps you sneakily steal him, then you move through a series of doors. You end up in a courtyard where you have to break the ankles of some drones and lock them in some cells. After that, you end up in a loading bay. You then get Clementine to get into the tuk-tuk. You climb on the back and hop over the fence. You open up the final gate and then run back after the tuk-tuk while some police drones attempt to murder you. Once on the tuk-tuk, you're free. Also, the cutscene for this chase looks like something out of a movie. Clementine then drops you off at the subway, says her goodbyes, and drives off while still being chased. You head down and power the train, return to the train, and leave. Chapter 12, The Control Room. It's worth mentioning that in the last 2 chapters, we collectively have saved 52 minutes 13 seconds compared to the previous run. I was pretty comfortable going to the last chapter with a current time of 1 hour, 33 minutes, 39 seconds, 96 milliseconds. But moving on. Once we got off the train, we enter a very cool-looking area that has been isolated for hundreds of years. I, with the help of B12, opened the main door to the control room. Once inside, we began. I turned off every computer while he hacked into some. With the systems online, there was only one thing left to do. Hack 3 different locks. I would rip them apart, and then B12 would hack into the locks, together disabling them. But there was one more thing. Every time B12 opened a lock, he would get damaged by some powerful electric shock. After all 3, he couldn't move, but we still put him on the panel, and they allowed us to open the roof. And with the last of his life, sacrificing himself for humankind, he opened the roof. We wake up. B12 is still dead, and we slowly walk out of the control room, head up the front door and up some overgrown stairs, and finally, with a final time of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 46 seconds, we have finally completed this incredible adventure, and escaped the underground world. We also opened the roof to the underworld, killing all the Zergs and saving all our friends, and yes, we got the achievement, mission complete. And with this, the video draws to an end. I hope this was an enjoyable experience, and I hope to see you again one day on this channel, but until next time, goodbye.